use of violence restraining orders against me in my extortion racket when I've actually caught these people being involved in it. Basically, firstly, the list started with the builder, Jamie Johnson, when I outed him as being stealing money off me in the building company, over $100,000. And when I put it on him, the next day he automatically got a violence restraining order. There was no violence involved. I simply was going out trying to catch him out at his house in Stratton where he was staying with his girlfriend, and I was trying to catch him every afternoon to talk about things. Obviously I was upset, but I didn't make no threats, etc. And the restraining order was basically to assist him to get away with stealing my money. Then there was Mark Shepherd, who referred me to lawyers 1 and 2, and also is Rockingham 35, the guy that sends me the threat, the anonymous profile. Apart from a surviving life-threatening incident, let's get ready for some more fun attached to my boat accident. He got a violence restraining order when I basically nailed him for referring me to lawyers 1 and 2 in the fight to win over the house that I'm at today at 107 Burke Street that I'm being extorted over. Then there was Alex Plumber, the first lawyer that he referred me to. He got a violence restraining order the next day after Mark Shepherd, because basically I caught the both of them together at the same time, and so they got both violence restraining orders. Obviously there's no violence involved there, and both of them are big men. And Mark Shepherd used to do security at the Leadville Hotel, so he was running very scared. Information was the highway with these people, and that's the way I went to education and learning, and basically I found that to equip me with the tools that I needed to fight my battle. Then there was David Sash, who threatened to get a violence restraining order when I made my allegations of corruption there against the second lawyer firm, and etc. And then there was Alan Van Noort, who threatened that he was going to get a violence restraining order, but decided not to at the very end, but was pressured when I caught him as well, and basically disappeared off the face of the earth. Then there was Jennifer Richmond, my girlfriend, around 2005, 2004 I think, and basically when I outed her as being a police informant, she went and got a violence restraining order as well, etc, etc. Then there was Vanessa Aplis. She got a violence restraining order after I caught her stealing my car, and she made a full confession to it, and basically things heated up between the two of us. No violence, etc. She just simply knew that she needed to get one because I caught her out big time as being a police informant and stealing my car, etc. Vicky Turner, she was a friend of mine that I outed as being a police informant. They got a restraining order as well, who's also associated with Tony Hart, the police officer that is investigating me, and that's her friend, but she was posing as my friend. Jade Rose Smith, another girlfriend, I outed her as being a police informant. Basically, she played a role as wanting to be my advocate, etc., and saying that she would go to Bentley Hospital and fight for my rights and my justice there, because I wasn't suffering from a mental illness, and obviously corrupt psychiatrists had been involved, and she was adamant of how disgusting it was of what they'd done to me. And then basically I outed her as being a police informant, not only in my police operations, but also in a motorcycle gang members operation as well, where when I notified her of this, she slashed her wrist and taken to an ICU unit within 25 minutes of me informing her of her police operations, not only in my world but in the motorcycle clubs world as well. Yeah, so that's 10 people that either got restraining orders or threatened to get restraining orders that got that close to them getting a restraining order, simply because of the pressure I put on them when I caught them. Because obviously I was trying to find out what the story is and what was actually going on, and so I didn't want to stop learning, and basically the more information I was, when I caught them being police informants, that was a good opportunity for me to learn more by putting pressure on them, and that's when they feel the pressure, and just the use of the police again to protect them, the law, and there's never been any violence ever. And I've got, like nearly 10 people that want to get restraining orders against me because I busted them in my extortion racket being corrupt and being involved in it, etc., with the police. And here we have the police powers being the restraining order laws being used, and also all these restraining orders we've got with no violence being used whatsoever, or threats, etc. And some of them I couldn't even defend because I was locked up in a mental institution and couldn't dispute the restraining orders within the 30 days that you were allowed after you received them. So so basically to cover up the truth, they got restraining orders to rob me. They got restraining orders, Vanessa Applis and Jamie Johnson, for example, and the police have been used again to protect them. Now, in these robberies, Jamie Johnson, the $100,000 stolen off me in the building company, the police protected him when I went in to investigate these matters, and I wanted to start an investigation into them. The police said to me that they didn't want to speak to me, and they didn't want to look at the evidence that I had. I wasn't able to show evidence. Now, I'm the guy that got ripped off in the building company, $100,000. Surely I get to speak to the police officers so they can target their investigation and go straight to the main points and etc. How do they do an investigation when they don't speak to the complainant and don't even view the evidence or don't even want to view the evidence? Mr. Johnson was protected 100% by the police to get away with the robberies, the robbery in the building company. And I'm suggesting even that the robbery was the police that were investigating me, and they simply robbed me while they were doing the investigation into me. The fact that I caught them is what made them go away. Then you've got Miss Applis, who 2 robberies of over a couple of grand each, $3 grand and I think $2 grand for Axbridge bond money, and then there's a stolen car worth $3,000-4,000. And the bottom line is that I went in there with confessions of her admitting to the crimes, and the bottom line is that the police did the bodgy investigation. They said there was a civil matter where I got legal advice from lawyers who said, and I told them what the matter was exactly as I explained to the police, and they said that's not a civil matter, it's criminal. And basically the police used the civil thing as a loophole to not investigate, and when speaking to lawyers, they said that I was 100% right, that it wasn't a criminal offence and they should have been prosecuted. And the bottom line is these people got away with murder, and they're all involved in my extortion racket, and basically they can rob you and they don't face prosecution from the police, fully protected. Absolutely ridiculous, and they have no fear. You can see when you're dealing with them that they have no concerns about being arrested, and like some of the things that they do when they're playing you or in the scam that they do, they cut corners because they realise that they're not going to be chased by the police, and they got all the confidence in the world, and it's often very cheeky with the manner that they conduct their crimes. Like they laugh in your face. It's ridiculous. They actually know that they have the powers, and the fact that the same people that involved the robberies also involved with my admittances into hospital. The whole conspiracy theory is all there together there. 100% correct in what I'm stating. I'm being extorted by these people. Thank you.